Everybody, so much for tuning in to another episode of Extracting Wisdom. We are live from the Voices of Dentistry Podcast Summit 2020, and I am joined here by Mr. Tyler Tolbear, Clay Schwinky like a Twinkie, I am told, Dr. David Maloli,
Justin Moody, my main man,
Dr. Moody, Michelle Strange, Andrew Johnson from A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, Dr. Moody, Landon Allen, Dustin Barr, Dr. Brian Gill, Dave Rohr, George Hariri, Matt Marino.
Got it.
Oh my gosh, there we go. I'm a master. One and done, baby. Peyton Keller, welcome to the show, man.
You are now listening to Extracting Wisdom. Here to help you prevent the decay of your future is your host, Brandon Evert.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Extracting Wisdom. I am your host, Brandon Evert, and today we are live from the Voices of Dentistry Podcast Summit 2020, and I am joined here by Landon Allen and Dustin Barr, who are both D2's at Midwestern, correct? Arizona?
Yep, Glendale.
Okay, welcome guys to the show. Thanks so much for being on today.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for inviting us, Brandon. It's
Of course,
awesome.
yeah, I'm glad you guys stopped by, and I'm glad, who pointed you in my direction?
So Matt Guierno and George Hariri, they kind of pushed us over to the booth over here.
Okay.
I remember seeing your name, so I was like, oh, I definitely got to come check out the podcast and everything.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I just had on Tyler Tolbear and Clay Schwinky. Do you guys know them? No,
I don't believe so.
They're over. They're a part of that same podcast with Matt and George too.
Okay.
So we were just talking about kind of Midwestern versus UIC and everything. Well, before we get into that though, like how has your experience been in dental school? What's D2 year look like for you guys?
So far, for me at least, it's been a whole lot more enjoyable than D1 year. It's not as relaxing, I would say, but you get to learn a lot of interesting hand skills and whatnot, but I'm enjoying it. It's not even a work or a job or anything. It's more of just something fun to do every day.
And I love Midwestern. I think it's awesome. It's awesome being here in Glendale, Arizona. It's always bright, beautiful here. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so it's a huge mix-up.
Yeah,
being from
I'm so jealous of you guys.
Overcast, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Chicago, right?
Yeah, I know. See, this is why I'm loving this, because this is, when I left, it was probably about 15 degrees in Chicago, and here it's 75.
Oh my
so
God, yeah.
I am not complaining at all.
It's so beautiful here. So, I mean, I love the weather, and, our faculty are really hands-on and from private practice, which is something that we really respect. Like our bench faculty, they run a dental practice on, whatever days they're not in school. So we get a lot of kind of hands-on experience through our bench faculty. And then just the amount of projects we're doing. We're doing crown preps, we're doing MODs, all that kind of good stuff that you're probably doing over in Chicago. So it's just a huge cocktail of just great stuff going on.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the fact that we have a lot of faculty.
I'm just going to move this closer to your mouth real quick, just so I can hear you a little bit better.
Sure.
Thank you.
In numbers, so I've heard at other schools you have to wait in line in order to talk to your faculty for a while before you even get your work checked.
What's your class size? How many do you guys have?
144, 145-ish.
Oh, so that's even bigger than Chicago.
We're a big school.
Yeah. Okay. Our class is about 68, so we're a little bit.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We're a little, just about half as small, but it's definitely not as bad as like Tufts. Have you heard about Tufts?
A little bit of Tufts, but not too much.
I interviewed there. They have like 230 in their classes, with their huge classes. So
I can't believe it.
Even like 130, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys get a lot of time with faculty and everything. Now, do you guys take me through like a normal day in D2? Like, does your class get split in half for different things, and one is in clinic for like the morning, and you guys switch in the afternoon? Like, how does that work?
So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we all have lecture.
Okay.
So we're in school from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. pretty much. And then Mondays, we're basically in lecture hall. Tuesdays, we'll then go over to simulation clinic.
Okay.
And Thursdays, we'll do that.
Okay.
And so basically, Tuesdays, Thursdays, simulation clinic, we're basically working on projects, all hand skills. We're working with Dexter. You probably know Dexter pretty well.
Best patient there is.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so we're either working on a crown prep for the day, or, whatever it is that we're working on.
Now we're at a few crown preps in one day, but Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they're having us do more rotations. So we might be across the street in clinic assisting somebody, or they might want us to do hygiene, or we're going to a dental lab to see how crowns are made, how like here's a good impression from a dentist, and here's an impression that needs a little bit more time and energy spent making a good impression. So they definitely want us to have us do a little bit of everything. We have a perio rotation, endo, so it's exposing us to a lot of things that we might not necessarily understand just by reading.
Sure.
Yeah, and get you ready for clinic. So we'll be in clinic starting in June. So we just got our partners. And at Midwestern, we basically, a D3 partners with a D4, and then they all work on, they have one chair, basically.
Right.
And they basically
same with us.
Bring in patients and get you ready for that, essentially.
Have you guys done endo yet?
We have, yeah.
Okay. So what does your endo look like? Is it just basic root canal treatment and like you've had that in sim clinic as well?
Yeah, so we do Wave 1 protocol.
Nice.
And so it's all iPad, iTouch, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so you basically just you click through the settings and the different rotary files and all that kind of good stuff we run through.
Wow.
So we've done
and they've really simplified it to probably 8 steps. It's not too complicated.
It's nice because they're teaching us how a general dentist needs to be taught in school right away, which is nice.
See that, and we've done something very similar. We use Vortex Blue. I don't know if you guys have.
Okay.
It's just a different file system, rotary system. But that's amazing that you guys are using the Wave 1 Gold. Is it the wireless?
It is not the wireless.
It's not the wireless, but it's still controlled by an iPad.
All of our stuff goes through an iPad. So when we're drilling with burrs, it's through an iPad as well too.
Really? Even just like straight up restorative, like Class 1 preps and stuff, it's all iPad?
It's an iTouch or
the
little
touchscreen.
Yeah,
little touch
exactly.
screen, yeah.
So it's an electric. Is it electric handpiece?
It's an electric handpiece.
Okay.
It's through like Airbnb or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but it's cool because you can set what RPMs you want to drill at. So you can go from 200,000 down to 100,000, down to 40, down to 10.
Right. That's really cool, and that's the one thing I appreciate about a lot of schools too is how cutting edge of a technology. Like electric handpieces are newer, I would say, in dentistry. We're still using turbines at UIC.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that there's nothing wrong with it. I think we're maybe technology wise, we're a little bit behind where some other schools are, like Midwestern or Creighton or something like that. Programs like that. I think our curriculum though is still top notch. It's just I think our technology, and I wish we could use some of that stuff because I see dentists, especially like Alan Mead in his talk over there was just talking about his Wave 1 Gold system, and he has actually the wireless rotary handpiece that he uses, and it's like, that's what a lot of general dentists are using in practice now, and I just wish we had access. I mean, I get there's the financial thing of school.
See,
and
that's the hard part,
but
exactly.
I mean, we're only paying $100,000, about a year.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
Yeah.
no, I know, but I wish we had a little bit more access to those types of things. But that's really cool that you guys are using iPads and electric handpieces and everything. That's really cool.
And I mean, that's what you kind of have to decide when you're looking at different schools. It's, do you want to pay that price tag in tuition to go to a school that offers those types of things and prepares you before school? Because I know that was one of the questions I had when I was a pre-dental student was, do I want to fork over all this money and will it be worth the return on investment, essentially?
Right, definitely. Yeah. What about your implant curriculum? Will you guys learn about implants? But more importantly, sorry, 1 second. Will you guys learn how to place the implants?
Yeah, so our school gives us 2 free implants through Bicon.
Yeah.
And we through those rotations on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Right.
We did Implants 1, which is Bicon's placement, and then in Implants 2, we just did Straumann's.
Correct.
And then in Implants 3 is when they kind of combined everything, and then they integrate like digital scanning too with it.
Wow.
So it's again something that not a lot of people, when they graduate dental school, can do.
Right.
And you're going to need more CE after this as well,
sure.
too.
Yeah.
Mind you, you're not coming out as a rock star dentist.
No, we're not placing implants when we graduate, but we'll know. But it's some people graduating as a 4th year placed over 40 implants.
Yeah, so there's D3s and D4s definitely placing implants in clinic, which is a really kind of cool thing to do.
Yeah, that's another thing about UIC. Like, here's the thing, and I'll get into Midwestern Illinois too. Okay, so I'll tie this all together. So I interviewed at Midwestern, and every school that I interviewed at, I asked the same question is, will you allow students to place implants?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because that was a really big thing to me, because I want to leave dental school having at least placed 1 to a couple implants, just so I have the feel of it, right?
Yeah.
And obviously I can go take more courses. Like I've taken implant pathway with Dr. Moody already.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
It's even down to Tempe.
Well, I haven't done that part yet.
Okay.
I did session 2 and 3 when he came to Chicago. So I haven't done like the clinical part of it, but I did like the classroom portion essentially. But when I asked Midwestern that, and I think it's because the Midwestern-Arizona is a lot more, it's older, it's a longer program, it's been there longer, and it's a lot more established rather than the Illinois one, which is newer. And they said, absolutely no, we're not letting any students place implants here. But I have heard now that students are now placing implants there, which is good.
No.
Definitely.
But just when I interviewed there, they said absolutely not. And when I had, during like our interview day, when we had kind of that time with the dental students to kind of talk about whatever, with them, I was having a conversation with a couple students, and they're like, oh yeah, we had this patient come in, and they had a terminal dentition. We needed a full mouth extraction and an all-on-4, upper and lower arch. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So did you guys, were you guys involved in that? Like, did you guys get to help in the surgery and everything? Like, oh no, we referred him to UIC.
Huh.
I'm like,
see, there you go.
I'm like, okay, well, thanks for making my decision.
Right, Alzheimer's right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yet again, they're a newer program, and I think they're a lot more established now, so they're doing a lot more of that at Midwestern. But at UIC, how it works is part of our graduation requirements is we have to restore a couple implants after it's placed.
Okay.
Now, in our 4th year, they have this, they call them like tracks. So there's like different, like, I guess, honors classes or additional classes you can take, endo, perio. They have an implants track, which then you get to learn how to make like precision guides and place the actual implants in patients. So I'm really hoping I get into that and get involved, because that's just, implants are just invaluable now. Like, that's the skill I think every general dentist needs to have. And that's the thing about, part of the thing about UIC, and I'm not bashing my school, by the way. I love my school. Because I know some of our admissions staff listens to my podcast too. I'm not bashing my school in any way. I just wish we had more of an implant curriculum, because so many of our professors or faculty, when they lecture about implants, they say, oh, okay, well, when you refer the implant to be placed by the surgeon or by the specialist, and it's like, sure, you can do that if you don't feel comfortable, but there's so many general dentists out there placing implants nowadays.
It's a new standard of care.
It really is. And same thing with when I bring up with my faculty, sometimes I'll mention like, oh, let's just take a cone beam of the patient. Like, well, how do you know that even has a cone beam? Those are so expensive. I'm like, cone beams now you can get one for $60,000, $70,000. Like, it's a way more accessible and way less expensive now. And like you said, implants are the standard of care. I really think cone beam is going to be the standard of care too, just because you can see vertical fractures, you can see the bone in 3 dimensions when you're doing implants and stuff like that.
And I know at Midwestern they're telling us that cone beam is a standard of care now with implants. It's what they're pushing.
I 100% agree with you. Now, do you guys have access to cone beams when you guys?
So in our clinic we do have one.
You do? Okay, that's good. We have them too. I just don't think it's like as accessible. Like, we only use it for like implant patients, and that's pretty much it, or if they have any advanced pathologies or anything like that. But I just wish we had more control over that, I guess. But here's a question too. When do you guys start seeing your patients?
In end of May.
So
May.
Full-time
so it's
seeing
coming up.
patients. There's been clinical rotations where we've done cleanings or debridements, all that kind of stuff.
But so we just got our partners. So once we get into our 3rd year, we're going to have our 4th year partner. So on Wednesday, I went over to just assist my partner because his current partner was out of town. So I got to meet a couple of the patients that will eventually be mine. So it's like I get to see, all right, and the patients are awesome. It's like the 2 that we got to see, they're happy to be there. They're glad to be there. It's most of the time the patients are happy to be there for us to learn and for us to make their lives better. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And the patient population is nice too. They're all retired, more towards the elderly side, but they're just happy to be there and happy that someone's taking care of their mouth.
Do you guys know how many patients you have at the school?
What did he just say? He said one lecture.
More than enough.
He said probably over 10,000 or 11,000.
Okay.
So there's definitely
that's good. That's a good
not
number.
a scarcity over here.
Right.
And I know patients are coming in from hours away. I mean, one of them was an hour away that they were coming in just to come to our school. So it's awesome to see that.
It makes you feel proud to go to Midwestern and choose a school like Midwestern.
Yeah.
When I was a pre-dental student, it was very hard to kind of get down a personality of each dental school and find out what you wanted and what you knew, what you wanted, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Who's to say if you want to know if you want to do implants or anything?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, and I really appreciate our school saying if you want to do something, you can go ahead and do it.
See, I love that mentality.
It's nice.
I absolutely love that mentality. And I think UIC has that too, but just there's more hoops and restrictions to jump through. I mean, I've talked to students at Ohio State too, and they're like, oh yeah, we're doing our own flap surgeries and osteosurgery and stuff like that. I'm like, that's, I guess it really depends on what your school's like residency situation is. I mean, we have every single residency at our school. It's Chicago. We have tons of patients, and so a lot of those more advanced procedures, quotes, because, I honestly, I think anything is achievable in dental school. But a lot of those advanced procedures will go to the residents instead of, the undergrads, which, I mean, good and bad thing. I guess, like, as a student, you get to learn how to refer and,
Definitely, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That's kind of where our school's different again too, because we don't have any specialty programs, so we're completely
good and bad things. I mean,
exactly.
That's the thing. I almost wish we could. I mean, we have so many patients. I just wish we had more of an opportunity to do, do more like you guys do. Now, can we go back to the implant thing really quick? You said you got 2 free implants. Does that mean you get to offer the implant to the patient for free, no cost?
Of course, yeah.
Correct.
So
wow. And how? I guess do you guys know how that's like? How the financials work with that?
The school covers it.
The school covers it?
Yeah, it's part of our tuition, probably.
Yeah, probably is.
I think it's Bicon wanting to promote their product.
Yeah.
And so there's here's 2, and then let's say the patient needs 4. Well, now I guess you can get 4 for the price of 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the restoration's part of the cost of it, but relatively,
regardless,
it's a whole lot more reasonable for the patient.
Yeah.
But it's also Bicon, so some people don't want to necessarily use the Bicon versus the Straumann, but those are our 2 choices. So I figured, why not use 2 free?
Yeah,
2
why
free,
not?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing experience for you guys. It's great for the patients that get the care that they want. Like, especially, I could see how beneficial it would be if, like, a patient was a dentulous in the mandible and they needed, a 2 implant supported overdenture or something. Like, there you go. The implants are free. They just have to pay for the denture. Like, how cool is that? That's really cool.
It's neat. Yeah, it's really neat.
Hats off to Midwestern for doing that.
It gives students the opportunity to place implants.
Yeah, it almost promotes us to want to get them placed because. It's our learning experience. The patient is getting something for free.
Right.
So it's a win-win. And
wow. I'm gonna have to talk to my dean about that or something because that's really cool. That's a great experience. So, are you guys going to be interested in staying as general dentists? Are you guys interested in specializing at all, or?
So my dad's actually a dentist back in Florida, and he's general. That's my plan.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much made my mindset pretty good. I've also have family friends who have specialized, and they would say now with everything going on in the technology, they wouldn't lean into specializing anymore.
Right.
So, and I appreciate that, and I find that from everything that you get to learn as a general, that specializing doesn't seem like a good choice for me. I'd rather have a little bit of everything.
Right.
So.
And I will say, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, general dentists can do pretty much whatever they want as long as you do it well and you have the proper training and you feel confident, and maybe you pick, after learning a certain new procedure like implants, like you pick easier cases to start and build your experience. I mean, there's nothing stopping a general dentist from doing any of that, which I think is
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice. It's a nice freedom aspect to it.
Right.
I'm kind of the same way with Dustin when it comes to sticking to general dentistry and having the freedom to kind of follow what you want to do and pursue what kind of operations you want to do.
Right.
Procedures. I got into dentistry because I like the business aspect too. So I think it's so cool that you can be your own business owner and you can run a team of staff. So my plan is to kind of get out of school and, get my hands a little wet, continue to get down the experience, but ultimately buy a practice and run that route and, go from there and see what it's like.
Right. And I think too, I mean, specialties are great, and there's definitely a place for them.
Definitely.
You know, they're there. They're the experts in whatever that is. But if you have an easy root canal or a nice easy single implant placement, or even an all-on-4, if you feel comfortable and the patient has good bone and stuff like that, like I would love to offer those procedures to my patients and know that I am confident in doing those, because then the patient doesn't have to go anywhere else. Like, they're comfortable with you. There's a reason why they're coming to you in the first place. It's because they're comfortable with you doing their dentistry. I mean, hopefully that's hopefully that's the case, right? But then you can offer that right there. They don't have to go anywhere else. They don't have to look up directions to another office, or you can just do it right there where they feel comfortable.
Yeah, and locations where access to care is limited or not at all, it gives them another opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, and I know a big thing now that so we have plenty of operatories in my dad's office.
Right.
That there's the specialties who come to you and will do the work in your office.
Yeah.
So the patients feel comfortable still coming to you. And if they see that you're bringing somebody into your office, then they trust that you have good judgment. So it's like a win-win, and you're getting that specialties work done in your office.
Right.
And it's probably work that you didn't feel comfortable doing, but yet the patient's still comfortable being in your office. So
that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what else is going on? What are you guys learning in lectures right now?
Lectures, they basically divide. It's every few modules by each like kind of topic or specialty.
So right now it's a lot of pedo.
Yeah, we just got
pedo. Okay.
we're right around pedo, and I think we're going more into like more occlusion.
Yeah.
What else
Starting
have
to
we got
get into some ortho right now.
Ortho? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So that's the most recent things. Our last practical was pedo.
Pedo. Okay.
It's probably going to be the last time we see pedo teeth for a little while.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they're fun. They're fun to work on. They go quick.
That's true.
But we've yet to experience the parent and then who's actually attached to the teeth.
To the teeth. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that was one thing where I'm like, oh, these are easy, but then you got to think what's actually involved with the pedo teeth. So
I know. Yeah, we're at UIC. We're pretty much done with sim clinic already. Just this semester's we have an implant course, ortho course, complete dentures. Have you guys done dentures at all yet?
No.
Soon.
No. Have you done RPD yet?
Soon. That's
okay,
all.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay, that's next. Okay, so we're kind of going through we did RPD last semester, and we're kind of getting into the complete denture world now. But it's crazy that we don't touch a handpiece all semester.
Really?
Oh wow.
I mean, we're doing lab work because we're setting teeth and making wax rims and stuff for dentures, but we're not doing really anything restorative. What's I guess nice about UIC in Chicago is first semester we're already in. By the end of our first semester, or even our first year, we're done with amalgam and we're done with all composites, really.
Okay.
I mean, basic composites, and then like D2 and our summer we kind of go over like class 4s and more aesthetic composites and stuff like that. But we get into the sim clinic really early, which I appreciate. But it's weird because now we're done. We're done with endo. We're done with all composites and pretty much anything really pre-clinic wise, except for more advanced stuff like advanced perio or grafting or implants or whatever. But I'm nervous. it's weird because we don't touch a handpiece, and then this summer is when we start seeing patients. It'll be fine though.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like riding a bike.
well, you know what? And I just had. That's funny that you say that because I just had Tyler and Clay on the previous podcast, and they said the same exact thing. Like, oh, don't worry, like it comes right back to you. It's not a big deal. But I just think it's interesting that that's the way the curriculum is. You would think you would have more stuff going on in the sim clinic or more practice leading up to working on like real patients and stuff. But the content is really cool. I'm excited learning about implants, and our companies at our school, we do Straumann and Astra, which is Dentsply.
Yeah.
So I think coming up later in the semester, we'll have the reps come in, and we'll have like a full day of them taking through, their surface treatments to their titanium and what makes their implant unique. And then I believe they actually have models for us to actually put into our dexters or our mannequins and place an implant into a model, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty much what we're doing this semester, and then we move on to patients this summer.
That'll be fun. Yeah, that's exciting.
So yeah, it's going to be nice not to be working on a mannequin for once. Nice, but nervous at the same time. I mean,
and then using the handpiece on plastic teeth versus natural teeth is a whole nother thing too. So,
did you guys, when you did your endo, did you guys use extracted teeth?
So we did both. So the first time we did endo, we did plastic teeth with plastic chambers, and now we're moving towards the extracted teeth. I think we'll do a molar here very soon.
So our next endo is they want us to set it up and have it all ready.
Okay.
I think they want us to take an X-ray prior to it, so then then you can just jump in and get right started.
Cool.
So I think we are doing a molar.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting.
Fun. Yeah, we've done veneers. What else have we done? We've done a lot of crazy stuff.
The only large thing we got left is bridges and onlays.
Yeah, traumatic teeth, class 4s, done all the classes.
Are you guys doing your onlays digitally, I'm assuming?
So we've dabbled a little bit with that, onlays and
so we've just done inlays. We just did inlays last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we used ferment. So just the temporary.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a booger.
Yeah.
Is really what you,
Really?
Yeah. You just pack that in there and you're like, all right, that's technically what they're saying that stays in there. So
Got it. Okay.
But no, inlays were fun. It's like you're thinking, oh boy, these preps are a whole lot bigger than what I'm used to.
I know. I kind of like it though because it's a lot less rigid as far as like the criteria. Like you don't have to have the convergent walls. It's divergent now.
Yeah, everything's
divergent.
divergent.
Nice and round I really like those. And then at my school, part of like the inlay and onlay stuff is using our Trio scanners.
Okay.
And then we actually designed the restorations, milled them out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And tried them in, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm really happy we did that.
Is that Plan Mecca?
It is.
Plan
yeah.
Mecca.
So what we do is it's the Trio scanners, and then we have the Plan Mecca mills in our school. I forget exactly which one it is, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And we actually have a whole clinic in our school that we can book chairs in with our patients if we wanted to do their crowns or inlay onlay digitally, which is pretty cool. So I'm hoping I can get in there and do as much of that as I can because really that's the future of dentistry.
Yeah.
Like I have a feeling that impressions. I hate impressions, man. Even getting them done on me, man. Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
You don't like getting an impression of your esophagus?
Yeah.
You might not like that.
No, I do not like that.
Yeah.
Especially it's all goopy and it's Especially as dental students, man. Like we're getting way back there that we don't even need to get. You pull it out and you have the whole base of the tongue and everything. But I really think impressions are going to be obsolete within 5-10 years or so. I think it's all going to be digital very, very soon. And I'm assuming you guys get experience with CAD/CAM?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we've milled, we designed, milled, cemented.
I think we have a few more rotations. We'll get to do more. They want us.
Cool.
I think we're prep number 5, and then you go in and you get to see how bad your margins are.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing about using CAD/CAM is that it really points out all your undercuts and all your under-reduced here and exactly.
But it's also a nice learning tool
For sure.
So that's a great part of being our school. And then they've taken our older units, and so now at our sim you're able to scan your designs right there because the nicer they keep locked up. So
yeah, I know they do. Yeah, at my school too. They always keep that thing out of our hands. Yeah.
But so we'll get to do that design and then mill, and then I know we've done a molar, but we get to I think start coloring them and shading them or whatnot. I don't know all the technical names yet, but
staining and glazing and characterization.
Characterization. Yeah.
There you go. Somebody's been paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's nice because when you enter your D1 year, you're doing a little waxing, but aside from the little waxing, you have the handpiece in your hand, you're drilling, and then you're in the CAD/CAM room. So you get to see those preps right away, and
that's awesome.
You get to see the chips in your preps and all the good stuff, the steps.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good. It really does sound like you guys are in a great program. You guys are going to be awesome dentists coming out, and you're going to be well prepared for not only like private practice, but also like the current status quo of dentistry too. I love that all these dental schools now, because I know there's some of them that might not be teaching all this digital stuff, but I'm really happy like UIC and in Arizona, like they're teaching us this. We're exposed to this kind of thing. So when we get to private practices where they have all this digital, digital technology, we are familiar with it at least. It might not be the same system, but we know the process of it, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. Switching gears really quick, is this your first Voices of Dentistry?
This is our first Voices of Dentistry. So Mark Costas came and visited our school, so special shout out to Mark Costas for having us here.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Inviting
thank
us
you.
to Voices of Dentistry. We always appreciate it. So, and this is also our first podcast. So, why
Wow,
not?
Sure.
hey.
This is the first of
a lot
many.
of firsts for everything.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you guys are doing great. You guys
Sweet.
are doing awesome. I mean, some
Appreciate
people,
it. Yeah.
some people are a little nervous sometimes to be on a podcast, but you guys are naturals. I'll tell you.
Hey, you're the voice for radio too, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome that you guys are here. This is my first Voices actually too.
Awesome.
And I just happened to be invited as a podcaster, which I'm
that is
thrilled
cool,
about. I
right?
know, I was wild. Dr. Moody helped me out there. I did an internship with him when I was still an undergrad and everything, so I owe a lot to Dr. Moody for everything that he's done for me. But that's awesome. Are you guys enjoying it so far?
Oh,
it's
I
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to
So much better than being in class.
meet the
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. Much nicer being here in Arizona. Well, at least for me, being from
Yeah.
Chicago, it's nice being here in the nice warm weather and not being in class.
Right. And it's cool just to see the podcasters. They're
Right.
finally putting a face to the
Exactly.
voice at this point.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, you listen to these podcasters all the time, and you know their voice, like, to a T, but you might not be exactly sure what they look like. And then, like, as you're walking around, you, like, hear their voice out of just nowhere, and you're like, oh, I know exactly who
Right.
that is, but
Yeah.
you can't, understand what they look like, or you don't know what they look like yet until you actually hear their voice first and then see them. You know what I mean?
That is cool.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
It's cool. It's very surreal.
It is,
It's
I
cool
know.
going to dental conferences. That's one thing I can advocate for is try and go to dental conferences while you're still in school too.
Yeah.
Because
for
you meet
sure.
so many
Yeah.
cool people, and there's so many opportunities here for dental students.
I totally agree. And that's something I've talked about so many times on my podcast is, like, take advantage of these meetings
Exactly.
while you're in school, because I think this meeting is about $1,000 for dentists, but I mean, the student rate is so much less than that.
Yeah.
It's like $200-$300, or I forget exactly what it is, but I mean, that's a killing. And I really think if you take the time in dental school to come to these, you almost get more out of these meetings in a weekend than you would in a couple days of lecture. Obviously the lectures are important, but those are things that you can catch up on and stuff. But all the business advice and all, like, the inside information that you learn as far as like systems, like, were you guys in there this morning when Dr. Costas was speaking?
Yeah.
Okay, he's huge on business systems and operations of your practice and stuff like that. And, like, you're not going to get that in dental school. Like, dental schools train you to be a dentist. They don't train you to be a business owner, right? So you get to learn so much outside of class. And I really think that people like you guys and other dental students that attend these kind of events are going to hit the ground running when it's time for them to open up their own practice, if they choose to do that, because they have a better understanding of the business and the logistics of owning a dental practice and owning their own office than somebody who didn't come to these. You know what I mean?
Certainly, and it's the people you meet too. Networking goes a long way. It's how we got to meet you. So
Exactly.
it goes a long way, and there's opportunities.
Right. And I really appreciate you guys stopping by. It's really nice to meet you.
Of course.
And and aside from all the knowledge that you learn, you're 100% right. Like, it's the networking. You get to meet dental students from across the country that you never would have, met in the first place. That's how I got to meet all those guys down there and all these dentists that you hear all the time on podcasts, which is just amazing. Like, it's hard not to, jump up and down when you see, like, Dr. Marcos or something, like, oh my gosh, like, I've been listening to him for years and now I get to finally meet him, or, Dr. Alan Mead, or, Dr. Moody or something like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. Being a pre-dental student and just being able to hear everyone, you listen to different podcasts, you read different books, and it's very surreal coming to a conference like this, getting to meet those people and thank them in person for what they've done for you.
Right. Okay, so here's another thing. Are you guys avid podcast listeners?
Landon's gotten me to start listening a whole lot more. So
Okay,
I'm really trying. Yeah.
Okay, good for you guys. Okay, so what are your, like, top 3, 4, 5 podcasts? What are you guys listening to?
So I really don't have top 3, 4, or 5. So
Okay,
Yeah.
what do you listen to?
So we had Gary Takas come to our school.
Oh,
so he's really involved with our school. So every now and then I listen to him.
Okay.
And then Mark, he's been there, so I've listened to him a good amount.
That's awesome.
And then whenever Landon's like, hey, here you go, you got to listen to them.
Right.
I'll put them on. It's like, got them on Spotify. I'll go to the gym and listen to a couple.
Perfect.
And it's really helpful because, one, I can see as a dentist, you only learn the mouth. So my dad on that side, he likes the mouth, he knows the mouth, and that's it.
Right.
My mom, on the other hand, she runs the office. She's the business manager. She knows all the business side.
Right.
So now I'm trying to piece the two of them together, and I hear all these wonderful ideas of this is how you can take the business side and the dental side, and you can combine them to make them really unite
Yeah.
and make everything so much better. So it's like some of the things are it's hard. My dad is pretty dated on some of the things, so trying to get him to be more like with social media and things like that, it's harder because it's good for the business as well. If you're posting things like, oh, here's the patients, do some like things with the patients, it would be a very beneficial thing for him. But understanding of how to do that, and there's things outside of just the mouth for him. So it's I'm definitely learning a lot from these, and I continue, and I'll be listening to you for sure.
Oh, well, thank you. But good for you. That's awesome. I mean, the podcasts are seriously, like, there's so much information out there. What are you listening to?
So I absolutely am in love with shared practices. So not because George is from Midwestern either.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Suck up.
No. Shared practices literally lays everything down. And for people that are new to business or still have that kind of business mindset, it really breaks things down and it shows them how to buy a practice, if practice ownership is right for them. And it's just a great podcast, you know. Practice Underwater, kind of like a takeaway from shared practice is also good. And then I would say number 2 would be Dentalpreneur with Mark Costas for sure. And then 3 would be a little bit of Takis, Gary Takis. With, I don't remember his podcast name, but Gary Takis, he's good. And then I really want to get into life and dentistry.
Those guys,
I've heard those are good.
I've had the opportunity to meet them, and I actually went to their life and dentistry conference. You guys are gonna love them.
Awesome.
They are absolutely just great, down-to-earth guys. They're fresh out of dental school. I think maybe they're 2 years out by now.
Okay.
But just super nice and super helpful. Like, really, every time I see them, like, one of the last things they always tell me before I say goodbye to them is, if you ever need anything, he's like, reach out to us and we're there for you. We're gonna help you. And I mean, I love the message behind their podcast too, like life and dentistry. Okay, so a lot of us are type A personalities, right? So we're so career-driven and work-driven, and their whole podcast is really about making sure you find the time in life to enjoy it too. Like, dentistry is only and should only be just a portion of your life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to spend all of your time on dentistry and missing out on all the other aspects of your life. So, they're just great guys. I would definitely listen to them. All their episodes are awesome.
Okay, I definitely have to. That's like next on the list.
Good.
Between that and like the book list, it's hard to manage sometimes.
Oh, I know. My list is growing longer and longer every single day. I would really encourage you guys to listen to Dentist Implants and Worms too.
Okay,
which is Dr. Moody's podcast. Not only is he a great host and offers a lot of great guests and a lot of great content, he's just funny, man.
You need some good humor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the very first podcast I started listening to.
Oh, that's great.
Back in like sophomore year of undergrad, I just happened to, I just got into podcasts. I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's any dental ones out there. And that was the first one I clicked on, and they were all, taking shots of Fireball and drinking, vodka sodas and everything. Like, all right, these guys are good.
Right?
They're funny.
Sounds like my type of podcast, right?
Yeah, but that's another great one to listen to. I would highly recommend that.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna get my phone out. Let me see what else I have on my list here that I can recommend to you guys. Now I know the list is growing longer and longer every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I first started listening, there was maybe 10 dental podcasts, and now there's I think 80 of them or something like that. Dental Hacks, I think they're right behind me.
Yep.
They're right behind me, so that's a great option. I really like, do you guys know who the Relentless Dentist is? David Maloli?
Maloli, yeah.
Okay. He is, I saw him speak again at the Life and Dentistry podcast, and I had the chance to just speak with him. And he's, again, somebody who not only is a great dentist, but he's somebody who's so focused on making sure that you don't miss out on the other aspects of your life. I mean, dentistry is so easy, in my opinion, really to just take over your life and that just be your sole focus, especially while we're in school. Like, that's our life right now, is to get through school. But he also shares, reminders. Hey, you gotta look out for your family, look out for your girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, and brothers, sisters, and enjoy life, really. So that's another great one to listen to. He's awesome.
So what made you want to do a podcast?
That's a great question.
Yeah. That's what I want to know too.
Okay.
You gotta give us the dirty.
All that extra free time.
I'll give you the story in a second. Millennial Dentist is also another good one.
Okay.
That's
Who's that by?
Dr. Sully Sullivan. I haven't had the chance to meet him yet, but I've been a long time listener of him. He's really cool. He's I would say on the younger side when it comes to dentists, but he's actually in Germany right now because he's at some international dental meeting with Dent Supply Sirona. But very like he posted an Instagram story. I really want to have him on the podcast to talk about this, of him throwing out all of his stone, all of his alginate, because he's 100% digital now, which is really cool. So
that is really
he's
cool.
very like digitally versed in dentistry, which is really, really cool. But back to your question. Okay, so the podcast. So I was a long-time listener of Dentist Implants and Worms. Like I said, I started listening in like my sophomore year of undergrad, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. You know, I enjoyed listening to their content. They were funny. And one day I decided to just follow Dr. Moody on Twitter. Like, I'm not really big on Twitter or anything, but that's when they like posted reminders when their new episodes came out. So I was like, oh, I would just want to make sure I don't miss an episode or anything. And so Dr. Moody must have looked on my Twitter and saw that I was a pre-dental student, because I think I put that in my bio or something, thinking I was awesome, you know, pre-dental student.
Right? You gotta represent.
Gotta represent, right.
Of course.
But he said, hey, you know, would you want to be a guest on the podcast sometime? Because I'd love to hear about like what life is like as a pre-dental student in undergrad. I'm like, oh, like I was nervous. I was nervous as hell, I'll tell you that. But like, I was like, this is such a great opportunity. I get to meet, you know, the person that I've been listening to for so long. And so I said, of course, you know, and I was on the podcast one time. We did it over Skype, you know, and I was Skyped into the podcast. And then we did it a second time later on. He just did kind of like a follow-up episode to see how I was doing in undergrad. But after that second time, he invited me out to do an internship with him in South Dakota.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I actually got to fly out there. So I was shadowed him throughout his practice with him. I mean, he's a general dentist, but he only does implants. Okay. So I got to see pretty much the implant from start to finish, because I was in clinic with him when he, you know, did like the initial consultation and everything and the impressions and everything. Then he actually owns his own dental lab as well called Pro Smiles Dental Studio. So then I went over to the lab and saw the kind of back end of things, which I think is really important for any dental student out there, that they should try to get either an internship or just spend some time in the dental lab, because you really learn a lot about what dentists should be doing in clinic to make sure you get a good result from the lab. But anyway, I spent some time in there learning how to digitally design screw-retained restorations on implants and milling them and, you know, adjusting the occlusion and all that. And then I went back to his office to actually place the final restoration, whether it was an arch or, you know, just a single crown or something like that. But while I was there was a, I know, sorry, this is a long drawn-out story.
No,
it's awesome.
I'd love to hear this kind of stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But while I was there, you know, there was patients that were coming to him saying, hey, we heard you have a podcast and we want you to do the implant. And it just really clicked to me that, you know, he's making all of these connections with all these other dentists and now making connections with patients and just expanding his circle of people he knows with his podcast. And I was like, obviously I was a senior in undergrad at that time. Obviously I can't like talk about anything dental because haven't been in dental school yet, but I can at least start interviewing other pre-dental students and making connections with dental students now that I'm in dental school, and just really be a place or a podcast where dental students can come to kind of have a place that they can call home, I guess. Like listening to maybe like other podcasts, whether it's Mark Costas or, you know, Dr. Moody or whoever, you know, they're at a higher level than us. So sometimes it's hard to connect with every single thing they say. Obviously, it's very important, and we can file that knowledge away for later. But I started this podcast just to talk about dental school, really, and pre-dental students and getting into dental school. I help a lot of pre-dental students with DAT and personal statements and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of my first couple episodes were about.
So you're like their coach.
Yeah, in a way, but that's the thing is I really wanted to, number one, and I said this in the previous podcast, is to really kind of just lay out a blueprint or a map for pre-dental students to follow, because really your pre-health advisor at whatever undergrad you went to, like they were knowledgeable, but they didn't necessarily know all the steps in the process, right? So
they didn't go to dental school, so they don't, yeah.
Right. So, like, when should you have your personal statement written, or when should you take the DAT, or just all these little things that, all these kind of loose ends that you might not know about. That's where my podcast came in, to kind of tie everything up. And now it's kind of, sometimes I'll just do solo episodes to kind of document my way through dental school, which I think is helpful for other dental students But also, it's kind of cool for myself. I can go back and listen to. I'm like, oh man, did I really think that crown prep was that hard at that time? Like, it seems so much easier now. You know, so it's just a cool way to document and to help others and do some mentoring and learn from people like you guys too that are, you know, at a different program. But it's very interesting to see how programs are different and what you guys are learning and that sort of thing. So that's my long answer. Long answer to that question.
That's awesome, though. That's absolutely amazing that you know, kind of took that next step to help out pre-dental students and help out fellow dentists and dental students as well. Because it's just neat. It's neat to hear that, and it's neat to hear that you're paying it forward to help out others.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've all been there. We've all had to take the DAT. We've all had to go through the gauntlet, I call it, of pre-dental.
Yeah, I wish I would have known what you probably were talking about on your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't realize you have to wait a whole month before you get your DAT score. The schools don't like that. But it's like, you don't want my unofficial score? That's not good enough. It's things like that. But but it's also part of learning it on the fly, but you're making it easier for everybody.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. I really do appreciate that.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's what this podcast is all about. You know, it's obviously having fun, having great discussions with you guys, but also helping pre-dental students. And, you know, I'm really going to try. I haven't had on a ton of dentists yet, but hopefully here I'm going to have on the life and dentistry guys.
That'd be
actually,
neat,
just to get their advice on things and perspectives, because I had Clay on earlier, and he's a year out of school already.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to see their perspectives on, you know, dental school, transitioning into being a fully fledged dentist, that, you know, you don't have your faculty looking over your shoulder at all times, you know.
And it is nice getting somebody who's out of school, maybe not too long, to say, hey, you really should get into this into whatever part of this general dentistry, or even, you should maybe think about specializing, so they know a little bit more. But some of the ones who might be retiring might have a different opinion about certain topics of dentistry. So I do appreciate when somebody's like, oh yeah, it's like I've talked to other dentists who haven't been out for too long, or they're really up to date with all technology, like in school, no CAD cam. It's like, that's what they're saying. It's if you're going to focus on one thing, it's like, get very, very good at CAD cam. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take their advice and spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah. And it's important. That's why, you know, the podcast, this whole conference that you guys are at, it's great. You make those connections and you get that insider information, or, you know, you get a lot of advice from people that are saying, hey, focus on this, focus on that, because that's where dentistry's heading. So.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're at the 46-minute mark. This has been a great episode.
Wow,
Time flies when you're having fun. I really appreciate you guys being on an episode. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi to me. I appreciate it. It's really nice to meet you guys.
Of course, thanks for having us.
We'll have to be on again.
Hey, stop by. Are you guys going to be here tomorrow too?
We will be.
Okay. Well, hey, you guys want to be in another one? Come hop on.
I'm always down.
We'll get plenty of information between now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can talk about what you guys think of whoever was speaking, or, you know, talk about any other podcasts you guys hopped on to. So
definitely anything to help you out with the podcast. You know, you're helping out other pre-dental students and other dental students. So anything I can do to help you.
Awesome. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up this episode here. Thanks again for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.